Hello and welcome this evening. This is Dr. Brenda Roach. You can call me Brenda because it's just much easier. And sorry for the look again today. I have been a little under the weather today, but I did not want to miss coming online and continuing the series that I've been doing. This is the third part in a series that's going to go for several different weeks. Hey, Tiffany, glad you joined me. And so tonight I'm really talking, this is the third part of a series talking about taking your life back and really trying to get into better balance within your life. And again, my name is Dr. Brenda Roach, but you can just call me Brenda because it's much easier. If this makes sense to you as I go along, please feel free to give me some thumbs up, share it with some people that you think it could be helpful with as well, and put some comments down below. If I talk about some things that you that are referencing the last two sessions, feel free to go back. 2 weeks ago, I started this series, so there would be two previous videos that you could watch. So some of this might make a little bit more sense to you as well. And so I want to ask, so how many of you have been writing in your journals? And so if you can let me know if you've been doing that. And then last week we talked about your sacred date night with yourself. And if anybody has done that, I would love to hear about if you set that aside, time aside for that this week, as well as starting to write your life story. Hey, Kimmy, glad you're watching. Started writing your life story in your journal, which we talked about last week as well. So if you're catching this on replay, put hashtag replay down below as well. Hey, Skylar, and let me know if you've been following along and doing the journal, writing your life story, as well as taking your sacred date night with yourself and giving yourself some self-time as well. So again, I usually don't have a hat on, but as I said, I've been a little under the weather today, and so I needed a hat today. So tonight I'm going to really talk about expanding your vision to include your whole life and how to get it into balance. So when we live our whole life, hey Skylar, glad you joined me. When we're living our life, we need to move beyond a work-centered life to become more aware of the areas we're neglecting. And I talked a lot about that in week 1 in regards to myself, and I'll reference that again this evening as well. But I know I don't have a balanced life right now. I have a plan, and I've made some real progress out that this week, which I'm really excited about. I still have some ways to go, but I have some obligations I have to take care of in order to get my full plan into play. So hey Heather, glad you joined me. And so, life has many facets, and no one facet should be more important or less important. Hey Marge, glad you joined me. But a meaningful life really is a balanced life, and that's really what I'm talking about and wanting to really focus on this evening. And I know mine is definitely not in balance. Again, I am working towards that. I have a plan that I'm putting into play, and I made some real progress on it this week, but have a lot of things that I need to continue to work on. And so when we talk about the different areas of our life, we have our work life, but we also, how are we doing on our emotional and physical health? Hey, Mom, glad you joined me. How are we doing with our relationships and our spiritual well-being and our leisure time? Sharing yourself with others. Hey, Sherry, glad you joined me. So really, how are we putting our attention in all of those different areas? And so one of the things is if we look at a wheel, kind of a life wheel of balance. This is mine. And as you can see, it is not in balance. My work is way too much. I'm not spending enough time in those other areas. Hey, Jordan, glad you joined me. But my goal, and I have a plan to get there, is, making those more even. And I really want to challenge all of you that are on this to really look at where your wheel is and where your balance is at. Because when we live a more holistic life, you naturally are going to distribute more time and energy, creating more of a sense of balance. Because otherwise, if something happens, so say you're in a relationship and you're putting all that time and energy into one relationship, but something happens with that relationship, that can be a crisis. Or you get fired, or you change careers, or different things like that, and all of your energy is into work, or you become disabled and you can't work, then it becomes a crisis because you put all of your eggs in one basket and you're putting all of your energy towards one thing. And so tonight I'm really going to be talking about all those different areas and how we need to look at how to get our lives back in to that better balance as well. So it's really important. So these are some questions. You can write these down. You can replay this so you can get these down if you don't get them down the first time. These are some questions I want you to write. And if this is making sense, give me some thumbs up. Let me know that this is making sense. Again, share this with other people if you think it's going to be helpful for them. This is a series that I do every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Hey, Laura, glad you're here. And it's going to go on for several months. It's a whole series on how to take your life back and really be better balanced. And this is not, hey, Tammy, glad you joined me. Not only for you all, but this is really helping me relook at my life as well. So these are the questions I want you to answer. Where might your life be out of balance? You know, what gets the majority of your time and attention? Are there areas that you've been neglecting or putting on a hold? If you're like most people, you probably wish you had more time to dedicate to your health, to have fun, to spend time with loved ones. I know those are my areas for sure. And so to really do that balance, if you're jumping on now, go back and catch this from the replay. It'll make more sense to you as well. You know, and the other thing is hey, Shelly, glad you joined me. Don't be surprised if you feel kind of a sense of sadness as you review your diagram. I know I did. It really has caused a lot of emotion for me when I really began to really look at it honestly within myself and begin to recognize how out of balance I have my life. And it's been that way for a very long time. And as I said, I'm really working at a plan to get it back into better balance. And so I appreciate all of you going on this journey with me as well. So really look at your life honestly as well. So take out your journal. And as you kind of look through and we talk about these next sections, I really want you to look at where are you putting your attention. Pay attention also to how you feel when you look at that. A twinge of conflict, you know, a feeling of yes. Maybe you have a really good balance in one area, or a tug at your heart, are all signs that you've just read something pretty important about your life and where you're at in your own balance. So when we look at emotional and physical health, that's one of those areas that we need to look at. You know, it's really, really easy to ignore our emotional and physical health until there's a problem. Most of us wait until it's too late, unfortunately. We lead busy, very hectic lives, putting work and the needs of others before our own self-care. We fill our bodies with fast food and really unhealthy food. We tolerate high levels of stress. We run, nonstop on adrenaline, kind of like that Energizer bunny. And the body just keeps going and going and going until one day something goes wrong. We get sick, or we hear a diagnosis of an unexpected illness. Or we just notice we just can't seem to get things done like we used to. And that's when most people finally start paying attention to their health. Hey, Brittany, glad you joined me. And so what I'm encouraging you to do is don't wait till it's too late. Let's look at this wheel of balance and really look at how we can put where are we at with our emotional and physical health. So these are some of the questions I want you to answer in your journal around your emotional and physical health. And again, if this doesn't make sense to you, what I'm talking about as far as a journal, those kind of things, go back and watch my first two videos. So one was 2 weeks ago, one was last week at the same time, Thursday evening. This will make a lot more sense to you as well because they kind of build on each other. So these are the questions to write in your journal and to think about and answer regarding your emotional and physical health. Think about a time when you felt really peaceful and relaxed. Where were you? What were you doing? And where are you with your physical health? When is the last time you had a physical checkup? And, for us women, when is your last mammogram? For men, when is your last prostate check? All of us need to be taking care of our bodies. We only have one of them. And things can really sneak up on us. And so we need to take better care of our body. What are we putting in our body for food? What are we doing around our stress levels? What nutrition are we really using? I just started this great nutritional program that has made tremendous difference in my life as well. If you want more information about that, just let me know as well. But what are we doing around our nutrition and taking care of our bodies? Our body is our vessel. It's the one thing we have. Then we look at relationships. Where are we at within our relationships? Relationships you share with loved ones are the most important ingredient really in high quality life. They shape who you are, and they really add meaning to your life. And as human beings, we all have that longing to belong, and being part of a real strong community really fulfills that need as well. But when our schedule gets too full, it's easy to take those people for granted that are closest to us. You assume that they will understand. But everyone has their limits. And putting a relationship on hold while you're busy doing something else, especially doing it time and time again, takes a toll on that relationship. And I know I have been very, very guilty about this. This is part of my new plan, is really not putting those relationships with my husband and my family and my grandchildren and my daughters and my family that I love. I've put them on hold for a very long time, and I just am not going to do that anymore. And so really looking at that, because it can take a toll on those relationships. But the nice thing is that you can, get back on those relationships and really take control of those again and put that power back into those relationships. So it's really, really important to be looking at all of our relationships that we have in our life as well. So again, if this is making sense, let me know. If it's not making sense, then don't waste your time on staying on here. But, hopefully it is making sense as well. So the things I want you to write about in your journal on this one are there relationships you've been taking for granted that need your time and attention? Write that down in your journal. Friends you haven't seen for a while. Have you spent enough time with your family lately? Don't wait for trouble to set in. As you review kind of this list that I'm going to give you, really be thinking about whether those relationships can use some extra attention and additional care. So how about your spouse or your significant other? Friends, parents, children, extended family, co-workers, neighbors, long-lost relationship or long-distance relationships. And then our spiritual well-being. And spiritual well-being means different things to different people. For some, it's developing a spiritual life, works within a religious context. They go to a specific house of worship, studies, religious texts, or take an active role in their spiritual community. For others, it's finding a sense of peace, and centeredness that comes from spending time in nature or meditation or studying a different spiritual practices. Kind of brings that spiritual well-being. So what I want you to write about this around when we look at our spiritual well-being, write these down in your journal to really look at these. What shape is your spiritual life in? How is it different from your earlier years? What does spiritual well-being mean to you? And write about that in your journal. And then the next part of our wheel, our life balance wheel, is fun and adventure. Most of us experience very little fun and adventure in our lives. We save it for, vacations or special holidays. But fun really, really is a necessary part of life. And has a very positive and powerful impact on our health and overall well-being. And so some of the things I want you to think about when we talk about fun and adventure, again, writing these down in your journal, are sometimes we simply just need to be reminded to having fun is just as important as our time spent working. And so really be thinking about that. What have you done for fun lately? What would you like to do? Write that down in your journal. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is contributions to others. So again, hey, Amy Lynn, glad you're joining me. And so when we talk about contributions to others, when your cup is full, you naturally want to share it with others. And being of service or offering your support to those in needs brings you closer to others in ways that really adds richness to your life. And a smile from an elderly man who appreciates the time, or thanks from a young girl who, looks forward to your visits, reminds you of how fortunate you are, and how we need each other. And so the things I want you to think about when we talk about contribution to others and write about this in your journal is remember a time when you shared your generosity with others. How did it feel? If you had an abundance of time, energy, and resources, where would you share yourself right now? So write about that in your journal. So if you take all of that information, if you're catching this late, go back to the beginning. It will make a lot more sense as well. But we're really talking about our life balance and our balance wheel. And so now that you've had a chance to really think about this, if you go through all of this in your journal and reflect on some different ways to really put your life in more balance, you can add those that feel personally important to you. So all of us will have different things that are different, more important. Hey, Ushi, glad you joined me. And again, if you're coming on late, go back to the beginning. All of this will make a lot more sense. We're talking about really putting our life into balance. Maybe you'd like to give yourself more time alone, or engage in a special hobby or, creative interest. Step back and look at your life from this new perspective that we talked about tonight. How would your balanced life look to you? Not to anyone else, but how would it look to you? What do you want more of? Hey, Yush. And what do you want less of? And then create a vision of your whole life and write about that in your journal. This new vision of your life may sound like a fantasy, but soon you'll find that you really are making it into a reality. So again, I want you to take a look at, hey, Derek, glad you joined me. And again, so this is Dr. Brenda Roach, but you can call me Brenda. And this is a series on taking your life back. Tonight we talked about our wheel balance of life. And as you can tell, mine is not balanced at all. And I am working on that. And I'm excited to have you all join me on my journey. And learn as well about how you're doing on your journey and really looking at how do we put our life back into more balance. And so I come on every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. and we do a different topic each time. So if you haven't caught my 2 previous weeks, this is week 3 of a series, go back and catch those. This will make much more sense at that point as well. And again, I'm excited that you've tuned in. If this makes sense to you, give me some thumbs up. Let me know that this is making sense. Share it with people if you think there's people that might benefit from it as well. And I really look forward to having you catch this again. Hey, Jenny, glad you joined me next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. as well. So again, this is Dr. Brenda Roach. You can call me Brenda. I'm going to tune off. Hey, Ken, glad you joined me. And go back, catch this. If you're catching it on replay, do #replay. And let me know in the comment section on some things that might have really resonated with you and what you might have found some value in when you listen to this whole series and listen to tonight in regards to really making our life in more balance. Hey, Nancy, glad you joined me. And so I'm going to just go off now. And but I will catch you next Thursday again at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we'll continue to talk about the series on taking our life back. So I hope you all have an amazing, amazing week. I look forward to being on this journey with you, and I hope you find it helpful. I know I'm already finding it very helpful for myself. So thank you so much for joining me.